We launched OpenStack at RackSpace because we believed it was important to create standards in the cloud industry. We believe that customers face a real lock-in issue when looking at clouds or different technologies, and they have to think about application redesign and thinking about, do I want to invest in this cloud technology or another when we're moving? So we wanted to take our position in the market and create standards and make it possible for us all to operate on a common set of technologies. We also want to make it so that there are technologies that serve at service provider type scale, allow us to scale up to ultimately 1 million nodes, which is what we've stated as a project goal. And within that encompass both enterprise needs as well as service provider needs. So we want to create standards. We want to build a technology that can operate up to the scale that RackSpace works at today. So OpenStack is a open source project. It is not a packaged up product. It is something that enterprises are going to need a lot of help in adopting and using and integrating into their environments. And so when we launched this project, we actively built an ecosystem of partners that we thought could help do that. But we're in the very early stages of that. And we're getting interest from companies of all sizes of saying, how do I think about consuming this? How does it integrate into my environment? How do I know when it doesn't fit? And those are questions that the project itself is not intended to answer. That is what the community is intended to answer. So we'd love to see VARs and MSPs get involved with the project and help take that message to enterprises. We are 2.5 months into the project, so I think we've had a lot of early success, but I think we have a long ways to go. So we have code out there today for object storage, which is being adopted and used in different environments, and I think there'll be a lot more news about that in the near term. Compute, we haven't even had a release yet. That comes out in October. It will be a developer level release. It only operates at single cluster, hundreds of servers type scale, and certainly won't be well documented. Our goal is to get by next Q2 to a release that can operate at RackSpace scale and be at feature parity with us. But we've got a lot of work to do to get there, and we're bringing the community around that. What is very real is that there is a tremendous amount of community interest in this, and we're seeing the project move along very quickly, and we expect that we'll be able to achieve our goals that we've outlined to the community. So we have a large number of developers at RackSpace and NASA who are involved in the project. I think RackSpace has over 25 and NASA has over 10 that are actively involved in the project. But amazingly enough, 2 out of our top 5 contributors on the project actually don't work for either one of us. We've seen a lot of folks come involved and get involved in the community, both from our partners who've had their developers get involved, but we've also seen a lot of folks just in the community who find this an interesting problem and they want to solve, get involved. We've had over 2,000 patches submitted. We've had a large number of branches of code on the compute side being worked. We have 160 people on average in our IRC channel every day asking questions. Our mailing lists are very active. We've been overwhelmed with the response, and frankly, we're having a hard time just getting people onboarded because when you join an open source project that's new like this, the documentation is not good. There's not a lot of people that actually know the code. We have a very small set that do. And by the way, we're in the process of taking what were 2 separate projects, the NASA project and the RackSpace project, and merging them together. So some of it doesn't even exist yet. But we've been very impressed with it, and we expect that when we have our next design conference in November, that at that point we'll really see interest kick off, because at that point people will get much more clarity in terms of what the goals are for the long term.